So I want to come back to Bismarck and talk about the Lions. There's been a lot of, in today's world, of so much rugby, international club, and people have asked the question about the Lions. And I guess you talked, I think, really interestingly about student memory being one of your great memories. And that kind of speaks to some of the heart and soul of why people play rugby, isn't it? And I certainly couldn't go on the Lions tour of '89 because of injury. And Jeremy Guscott went instead of me. We all know what happened then. So unfortunately, that was kind of the end of my career as centre for England. But that's where it goes. And but it's one of the great regrets that I have. And I was a selector in 2001 for the Australian tour. So I got a lot closer, but that's never enough. You know, I didn't put on the shirt. And there's been a lot of questions over here about the Lions and their place. And I think the answer has been conclusive, that it has a very special place in everyone's heart. It's incredibly well supported. And it's just a tragedy that we're not going to get the kind of the normal army of supporters that come over to South Africa. But tell us something, Bismarck, about how you see the Lions from a Springbok perspective, from an opponent's perspective, and how you see the tour going, the upcoming tour going.
Well, Simon, if I just go back to you getting injured in '89, you should have played in '97, then the Boks could have won in '97 as well.
Well, you remember that tour? We remember.
I must be honest with you. For a southern hemisphere side, you almost got to be born right to play against the Lions, because it only happens once in 12 years. I get goosebumps when I talk about it. The Lions is absolutely massive. I think the British and Irish Lions, it's bigger for me, honestly. Beating them in Loftus was bigger than winning the World Cup, because you must remember when we grew up, the only thing our parents could talk about was Johnny Will McBride, Williams, JPL Williams. Those are the guys that my father and growing up idolized. And for me to have been able to play against them is an absolute honor. I was shocked to run out on my home stadium in Durban, and running out and trying to hear where's the Springbok supporters when they just went Lions. I promise you, I ran out and I was like, are we playing at Twickenham or are we playing in the Millennium Stadium? It's absolutely the biggest thing in your rugby history if you play against the Lions. And to be honest, it's really sad to hear the whole thing about the moment with the whole Corona, but there's much bigger things than rugby. But taking everything aside, not taking anything away about the coronavirus and what the whole world's been through, and putting only my rugby hat on, and not the world hat or political hat, putting my only a rugby hat and a Springbok hat. I'm really sad that people can't go to South Africa. I'm really sad, and I'm crying for the people who support them every year, and for South Africa, because you must remember, this only comes in 12 years again. So that's in 2033. That is, to think that long, that's absolutely massive. Because I remember when I was there, that's the one thing I said to my parents. They watched all 3 tests, and for them, when you speak to them, my mom's been to 3 World Cups. My dad and my mom most probably watched over 60 test matches. that we've played in, and we've played almost close to 400 professional games in my life. When you ask my mom what is the best games she watched, she will absolutely, without a doubt, say, and my whole family will, without a doubt, say, the British and Irish Lions of 2009.
And I was there in that second test. What a test match that was. And with Mornis Stain kicking that penalty in the very last minute was like one of the most crushing, if you're a Lions supporter, one of the most crushing experiences that anyone could ever imagine. Whereas the elation in the stadium was, the roof lifted off. It was incredible. Was it not? That was one of the great moments.
Simon, to be honest with you, I've played in physical matches in my life, and I've played in games where I couldn't walk the next day, or when I get out of the bed the next morning. And at the time, you're still young, you still go out for a party afterwards. I remember after that game, I sat in that change room and I couldn't walk. I was knackered. I was absolutely knackered. It was one of the or not one. It was the most physical game I have ever played in.
Well, I think the list of injuries on both sides after that match was pretty extensive. So, and look, it's what that means to everybody. And I think there's a number of comments coming about the lack of crowds and all that good thing. And as you say, there are bigger things going on in the world. And thankfully, Bismarck, you'll get 10,000 people watching you in Twickenham. I'm not sure that's going to look like because they're all spread out around the ground, but it'll be something. But I think we all know the Lions. I think the reinforcement of all the debate over here is that the Lions is absolutely the pinnacle. And I'm absolutely sure going forward that every tour will be kept in the true spirit of what the Lions represent. And I have no doubt about that. And any administrator who plays around with that will have us all to answer to, I would say. So really fascinating to hear all of that.